The dining room glowed under a crystal chandelier, casting a warm golden light that danced across the walls and ceiling, making the space feel both inviting and grand. Light glinted off polished silver and sparkling glassware, each piece meticulously arranged, as if awaiting a celebration of the highest order. 11 guests sat around a gleaming mahogany table, their attire immaculate, their faces composed, a lavish feast untouched before them, as if frozen in anticipation. The centerpiece of white orchids and candles was flawless, petals unblemished, flames steady, casting delicate shadows that danced across the linen. But the room was silent, eerily, unnaturally so. Not a whisper, not a clink of glass, not even the softest sigh disturbed the heavy air. The guests were motionless, frozen mid-gesture, as if time itself had stopped at the very moment the meal was to begin. No signs of distress, no chaos, just a chilling stillness, as if the entire room had been paused by an unseen hand. Plates of gourmet food remained nearly untouched, soup bowls sat full, roasted duck lay uneaten, the aromas of the feast mingling with the coldness of the scene. The only movement in the room was the slow drip of candle wax and the gentle flicker of flames, their light wavering in the heavy, unmoving air. 11 people, gathered for what should have been a night of laughter and celebration, now formed a macabre tableau, their presence haunting in its stillness. No one was sleeping, no one playing a prank. They were dead, their eyes open, hands resting limply on the table, as if caught in a final silent toast. There were no weapons, no wounds, no sign of struggle. The guests appeared untouched, as if death had arrived invisibly, leaving no trace. The first officers who entered the room knew instantly, this was no ordinary case. The air was thick with something unexplainable, a sense of dread that clung to every surface. There were no clues, no signs of forced entry. Every door was locked, every window secure, as if the room itself had sealed its secret within. Just 11 bodies, a beautiful table, and a single haunting question: what happened at this silent supper? The answer seemed to hang in the air, just out of reach. The scene was pristine, yet horrifying, a contradiction that made the tragedy even more unsettling. The air was thick with dread, the silence absolute, pressing in on anyone who dared to enter. It was as if the room itself was holding its breath, waiting for someone to break the spell. The beauty of the setting only deepened the sense of unease, every detail a reminder of the life that had so suddenly vanished. Investigators were left with a mystery as elegant as it was terrifying, a puzzle with no obvious pieces, and a sense that something unnatural had occurred. The perfect dinner, interrupted by death, left behind only questions and a chilling silence that echoed through the halls. The story of the Silent Supper had begun, its mystery casting a long shadow over everyone who entered that room, and nothing would ever be the same, for the echoes of that night would haunt the house, and those who tried to solve its riddle, for years to come. Who were these 11 guests? Each one had a story, a reason to be at the table that night, and a connection to the home that ran deeper than most could see. They were family, friends, and rivals, bound by more than blood. Some had grown up together, others had only recently joined the circle, but all were drawn by the promise of tradition and celebration. At the center was Eleanor Vance, the formidable matriarch, famed for her impeccable taste and legendary hospitality. Her presence commanded respect, and her invitations were coveted. Her sons, their wives, grandchildren, and lifelong friends filled the table, each bringing their own stories, ambitions, and secrets. The room buzzed with the energy of shared history and unspoken rivalries. Their Sunday dinners were legendary, filled with laughter, warmth, and the occasional heated debate. These gatherings were the glue that held the family together. But this night was special, a celebration of a recent victory in their shared passion: competitive tablescaping. The trophy gleamed at the center, a symbol of their collective achievement. For them, table settings were more than decoration. They were art, a testament to creativity and precision. Every plate, every glass, every folded napkin was a statement. They were collaborators, competitors, and friends, united by a love of beauty and order. The act of arranging a table was both a ritual and a competition, a way to express themselves and outshine one another. No known feuds, no enemies, just a close-knit group, or so it seemed. Their bonds appeared unbreakable, their joy genuine. The irony was cruel. Their love for perfect tables made their deaths all the more surreal. The untouched place settings now seemed like silent witnesses to tragedy. They gathered to celebrate life, but found death instead. The laughter and clinking glasses were replaced by an eerie silence. The question for investigators was chilling. Who or what had invited death to the table? Was it a person, a hidden grudge, or something more sinister? No one saw it coming. The shock was total, the confusion absolute, as if the very air had turned against them. Their peaceful histories offered no clues. The walls, lined with family photos and memories, gave no hint of the darkness that had crept in. The mystery deepened with every detail, as investigators searched for answers in a room that once promised only joy. The discovery began with the evening's chef, arriving punctually to serve the main course at a home renowned for its lavish gatherings. The night air was crisp, the house glowing with promise, and the chef felt a sense of anticipation as he approached the grand entrance, dish in hand. Expecting the familiar sounds of laughter and conversation, he was instead greeted by an uncanny silence that seemed to press in from every corner. He stepped inside, calling out for the hosts, his voice echoing unanswered through the empty hallway. Each footstep felt heavier, the silence growing more oppressive with every passing second. The dining room glowed with soft candlelight, illuminating a table set for celebration. Yet the guests sat perfectly still, their faces serene, as if caught mid-conversation. For a fleeting moment he wondered if it was an elaborate prank, a surprise orchestrated for his benefit. But the stillness was absolute, unnatural in its intensity. No one blinked, no one shifted in their seats. It was as if time itself had stopped, leaving the room suspended in a single, chilling moment. A cold wave of fear swept over him as the truth dawned. He was utterly alone among the dead, surrounded by faces frozen in peace. The plates of food remained untouched, the wine glasses full and glistening, candles burning steadily as if nothing had happened. The scene was undisturbed, eerily perfect. Backing away in horror, his hands trembling uncontrollably, he fumbled for his phone and dialed 911, his voice barely steady as he tried to explain the impossible. 11 people, frozen in time as if waiting for a course that would never come. The air was thick with questions, the sense of dread overwhelming. The party, it seemed, was over before it had even begun. The laughter, the toasts, the stories, all silenced in an instant. The chef, now standing alone in the midst of opulence, realized he had walked into a beautiful tomb, a place where celebration had turned to tragedy. The table was set, the scene meticulously arranged, but the story was just beginning. Something impossible had happened here, something that defied explanation. The house remained silent, every room echoing with the weight of unanswered questions. The walls seemed to whisper secrets, the air heavy with mystery. What could have caused such a perfect, deadly stillness? The answer, hidden in the silence, would haunt everyone who entered from that night on. Police arrived, met by a shaken chef and a scene out of a nightmare. 11 guests, dead at the table, no chaos, no struggle. The calmest crime scene they'd ever seen, no forced entry, doors and windows locked from the inside. Whoever was responsible was either invited or already present. Every plate, glass and fork became evidence. Food and drinks were collected for testing. Poison seemed the only explanation. Toxicology would take time, but there were no immediate answers. Detectives interviewed neighbors and family, searching for motive. No enemies, no feuds, no reason for harm. The victims were described as happy, excited for the dinner. The puzzle only grew more complex. No suspects, no motive, no murder weapon. The room was full of victims, but empty of clues. The investigation stalled at the edge of the inexplicable. The silent supper was a mystery with no beginning or end. Poison was the obvious theory. How else could 11 die so quietly? Investigators imagined a tasteless, odorless toxin in the wine or soup, but autopsies revealed nothing. No trauma, no asphyxiation, no heart attacks. Toxicology tests screened for every known poison. Results were negative. No cyanide, no arsenic, no nerve agents. Environmental toxins? Air quality was normal. A shared medical event? Statistically impossible. Every logical explanation hit a dead end. The killer was invisible, untraceable. As of today, the case remains unsolved. No suspects, no motive, no murder weapon. The deaths are a medical and criminal enigma. The dining room stands as a monument to an impossible crime. The silent supper's secrets remain locked in silence. The silent supper story spread quickly, captivating the nation. 11 dead at a perfect table, haunting, irresistible. News specials, podcasts, and online forums exploded with theories. Was it an undetectable poison, a cult pact, international intrigue? Theories ranged from plausible to bizarre. The absent chef was scrutinized despite his alibi. The victims' lives were dissected online for hidden clues. The public's hunger for answers only grew. The case became a cultural phenomenon, a modern ghost story. Police faced mounting pressure, every dead end fueling speculation. Families grieved under the nation's watchful eye. The Silent Supper became more than a crime. It became legend. Sometimes the most terrifying stories are those with no ending. The tragedy shook the world of competitive tablescaping. Once a vibrant community, it was now shadowed by horror. Events were cancelled, joy replaced by fear and grief. The art of the perfect table became a painful reminder. Online groups turned into memorials. The innocence was gone, the craft forever changed. Some couldn't look at a set table without recalling the crime. Slowly the community tried to heal, but the shadow lingered. The Silent Supper became a cautionary tale, haunting their passion. The pursuit of beauty was now forever linked to tragedy. What did the victims experience in their final moments? No struggle suggests their end was swift, perhaps painless. Recent science hints at a surge of brain activity after death, a final flicker. The brain may release chemicals, creating vivid, peaceful experiences. Perhaps their last moments were not terror but a shared, intense dream. Memories, light, and peace, maybe that's what they saw. It's speculation, but offers a sliver of comfort. Their consciousness may have ended in a brilliant flash, not darkness. The mystery remains, but the horror is softened by possibility. In the end, perhaps they journeyed somewhere beautiful together. The story ends as it began, a silent dining room, a perfect table, and endless questions. The Silent Supper remains unsolved, the leads long cold. The house is empty, but the mystery endures. Was it an unknown poison, a vanished killer, or something stranger? The silence lingers, haunting families and investigators alike. Some secrets are never revealed. Will the truth ever surface? Perhaps. Or perhaps the Silent Supper will remain an unsolvable legend. The guests are gone and the story's final answer is lost with them.